In the episode before last, we looked at making paper cuts. What we were doing was deconstructing other people's promos, ads, or movie trailers. Now it's time to start making your own paper cuts, to run through the production process up to the paper cut stage.
Hit it!
Okay, so we're moving on to the writing phase of promo production. Now the general idea is to start putting words around your selected sound bites. To start with, go back to your copied paper cut promos and try to emulate the style and the tone of those words. But because you can't really just copy and paste the scripted words from another promo into your promo, you are going to have to write some words of your own, which is quickly going to crash you into the nagging question that all writers come up against, and that is, what the hell am I going to write? Now this is where I'm really skating out onto thin ice, because when it comes to writing, there is definitely no one right way to do it. Pick any two writers of just about anything and you'll meet two people who have their very own way of writing. Even then, many writers are simply incapable of describing how they do what they do. But there is at least one thing that I can safely say. Before you can write, you have to have an idea. And this is where we journey into the mystical, magical area of what's known as creativity. What a load of bullshit. Sure, just like all the arts and sciences, there are certainly freaks out there who are born with outrageously wild creative instincts. But if that's you, go paint a masterpiece or write a symphony or cure cancer. For the 99.99% of the rest of us, creativity is a skill that has to be learned and developed. Now, it mostly and largely depends on how you organise yourself and how much time you allocate to the process of thinking creatively. Now, whether you realise it or not, I just gave you $1 million piece of advice. Don't think that because we're moving on from it so quickly that it somehow isn't important. You have to make time for creativity, and when you do, you'll find there is a whole bunch of great stuff out there on the subject of creativity. Naturally, I encourage you to delve into it. For now, I'm going to teach you a technique that will give you great results for the specific task of promo writing. So where was I? Oh yes, your paper cut. So you've got your soundbite selected, and now we're putting words around them in the same format as your copied paper cuts. Right. So you'll notice that once you've added what the show's called and who's in it and what channel the show's on and what time it's screening, that there won't be much space left for much creative or persuasive writing anyway. Now this remaining little nugget of creative and persuasive writing is what I call the angle. The angle is the idea that the promo producer came up with, or the approach they took to describe and demonstrate the entertainment to entice the viewers into watching it. This is the most important thing that you should be on the lookout for when you are watching other people's promos to learn how to make them yourself. You need to collect and catalogue these angles in your own descriptive language. Let me give you an example. For me, the air crash investigation promo we watched earlier was an example of what I call the purposeful deprivation of critical information angle. Here's what the air crash investigation promo said without actually saying it.
If you, as a potential passenger of a commercial airplane, would like to know what you could do to stop one from crashing and save your life, then you had better watch this show.
Brilliant. If you're serious about being a promo producer and/or you would like to save yourself a whole heap of time, then you had better start looking out for identifying, describing and collecting angles immediately.
Australia's new #1 drama is about to drop bombshell
She's told your father everything.
after bombshell.
All this time, something bad's happened.
What comes next you brought on yourself?
A Place to Call Home, Sunday 8:30 on 7.
So that promo had 3 angles shoehorned into it. There's what I call interpretation of the ratings, the promise of shocking revelations, though I'm not sure how chicks jumping into a pond constitutes a bombshell, and the old chestnut, the appeal to critical acclaim. Yes, I have a list of angles that I have collected myself over the years. I'm always on the lookout for new angles to collect, and I always refer back to my list of angles for every single promo that I make. No, I'm not going to share them with you, well, not all of them anyway. By the way, this is not a purposeful deprivation of critical information angle here either. I mean, I'm not trying to upsell you on anything. You've got to compile them for yourself because A, you need to describe them in a language that makes sense to you, and B, you'll learn more this way. To me, the interesting thing about collecting angles are how few angles are in use out there. I mean, you seem to see the same ones being used over and over again. And also, you'll notice how many promos, ads and trailers have absolutely no angle anywhere to be found. Now, the reason why is beyond the scope of this tutorial. So before I start getting all cranky pants, maybe we should just move on a bit. Okay. So to finish off, you need to start thinking about what overlay vision you want to place over your scripted parts of your promo. By making paper cuts of other people's promos, you'll start to be on the lookout for all sorts of things like shots that communicate the feelings you were trying to demonstrate. Close-up headshots of leading actors. Shots loaded with colour and movement. And of course, all the usual suspects like people crying, cars crashing, and shit blowing up.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off!
And so by now you should have your first original paper cut promo. Once again, you're going to need to repeat this for as many genres of show as possible, basically all the promo types I showed you earlier. Remember, an employer is going to be looking for somebody who is versatile, so make sure that you make as many paper cuts for as many genres of promo as you can. Now, it's feasible that you could take these paper cuts of promos that you've made to a potential employer and say, well, you know, look, I can't edit yet, but here's some scripts that I wrote. And if you're lucky enough, that might just be enough to give you the break that you need. Having a stack of finished original paper cuts sure would be a valid enough reason to get you in touch with a creative director and make a connection, you know, and ask for feedback. I mean, this is textbook job hunting stuff. I mean, don't wait for a gig to be advertised, forcing you to compete with a whole herd of other dudes. Look, here's the thing. Creative directors are busy people and interviews are really time consuming, and we've all hired someone who was great in the interview but who then turned out to be a lazy ass mother. So if there's someone already known to the creative director who has the right attitude, you with me, then that person is going to find themselves in a favourable position. In other words, just show your paper cuts to a potential employer, okay? Only good can come of it. Right, So what about the whole editing thing? Wouldn't it be better to show a potential employer actual promos? Of course. Okay then, let's move on to that.
We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams.